Good evening. This is Story Time with Gina. This is now the sixth reading from a book. And tonight it will be Story of Little Simpleton by John T. Naake. Once there lived a peasant and his wife who had 3 daughters. The 2 elder girls were cunning and selfish. The youngest was simple and open-hearted, and on that account came to be called, first by her sisters and afterward by her father and mother, Little Simpleton. Little Simpleton was pushed about, had to fetch everything that was wanted, and was always kept at work. But she was ever ready to do what she was told, and never uttered a word of complaint. She would water the garden, prepare the pine splinters, milk the cows, and feed the ducks. She had to wait upon everybody. In a word, she was the drudge of the family. One day, as the peasant was going with the hay to the market, he asked his daughters what they would like him to buy for them. "Buy me some kumak for a seraphim, father," answered the oldest daughter. "And me some Naake," said the second. The youngest daughter alone did not ask for a present. The peasant was moved with compassion for the girl. Although a simpleton, she was still his daughter. Turning to her, he asked, "Well, little simpleton, what shall I buy for you?" Little Simpleton smiled and replied, "Buy me, dearest father, a little silver plate and a little apple." "What do you want them for?" asked her sisters. "I will make the little apple roll round the plate, and I will say some words to it, which an old woman taught me because I gave her a cake." The peasant promised to buy his daughters what they asked of him, and then he started for the market. He sowed his hay and brought the presents, some nanking for his daughters, one for the kumak, and for Little Simpleton a little silver plate and a little apple. Then he returned home, and he gave these things to his daughters. The girls were delighted. The 2 elder ones made themselves seraphims and laughed a little. They laughed at Little Simpleton, wondering what she would do with the silver plate and the apple. Little Simpleton did not eat the apple, but sat down in a corner and cried, "Roll, roll, little apple on the silver plate, and show me towns and fields, forests and seas, lofty mountains and beautiful skies." And the apple began to roll on the plate, and there appeared on it town after town, ships sailing on the seas, and people in the fields, mountains and beautiful skies, suns and stars. All these things looked so beautiful and were so wonderful that it would be impossible to tell of them in a story or describe them with the pen. At first, the elder sisters looked at the little plate with delight. Soon, however, their hearts were filled with envy, and they began to try to get it from their younger sister. But the girl would not part with it on any account. Then the wicked girl said, "Dearest sister, let us go into the forest to gather blackberries." Little Simpleton got up, gave the plate and apple to her father, and went with them into the forest. They walked about and gathered blackberries. All at once they saw a spade, oh my gosh, lying upon the ground. The wicked sisters, "Oh no, I can't read this. I can't read this story." "Oh no, no, I can't. No, my gosh. I thought this was a good story, you all. I thought this was a really good story. I'm not going to read it. Oh my gosh. This book, introduction to this book, you all. I've got to see where this is coming from. No, I don't like that story. I don't like it at all. Notice of this, okay, you all. Oh my gosh. It's let me see what section this is. Story of Little Simpleton. We got to find out where it came from, you all, because this is not a good story for me to be reading. Don't you let your children listen to this. Oh, I don't like that. Oh no. Let's see, we're on page 204. So this story comes from, where does it come from, you all? 190, 196. It comes from Russia. It comes from Russia. I can't read that story. I'm sure it's got a good ending. I'm sure it's got some kind of an ending on it, you all. You have never heard of it. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh no. Well, let's just say, oh my gosh, you all. Okay, I can skip the bad part. I'm going to skip the bad part because oh my gosh, you all. Okay. So, they returned home late, and they told their father that Little Simpleton is lost, and she ran away from us in the forest. We searched, but we could not find her anywhere. The wolves must have eaten her, they said. The peasant regretted the loss of his daughter bitterly, for although so simple, she was still his child. And the wicked sisters also shed tears. Her father put a little silver plate and the little apple into a box and locked them up. Next morning, a shepherd was tending his sheep near the place. Playing on his pipe and searching in the forest for one of his flock was missing. He observed the little place underneath the birch tree. It was covered with the most lovely flowers, and out of the middle of it there grew a reed. The shepherd cut off the reed and made a pipe out of it. And as soon as the pipe was prepared, oh, wonderful, it began to play itself and say, oh, you all know, play, oh pipe, play, and comfort my poor parents and sisters. I was, for the sake of my silver plate and my little apple. When the people heard of this, they ran out of their huts, and all came around the shepherd and began to ask what happened. Good people, he said, I don't know what happened. While searching for one of my sheep in the forest, I came upon this, and it was covered with flowers, and above stood a reed. So I cut off the reed, and I made a pipe out of it, and it played itself, and you have heard what it says. No! Oh my gosh! That's right, this came from Russia, you all. The father of Little Simpleton happened to be present. He took the pipe into his own hand, and he began to play, and it began to play. The peasant asked the shepherd to take him to the place where he had found the reed. Then all went into the forest, and they were astonished at the sight of the lovely flowers which grew there. They opened it up, and opened it up, and the pipe began to play. It said that you will not bring me to life until you fetch some water from the czar's. Okay. Oh, my dearest father, the pipe played you all. This is not, you make up the story. So they have to go get water from the Czar, Czar. And, oh my gosh, you all. Oh my gosh. They went to the palace. The peasants set out for the capital of Russia. And they went to the palace and saw the Tsar, and told the story, and they begged for permission to take water from the well. The Tsar said, "You may take some water of life from my well, and as soon as you have restored your daughter to life, bring her here with her little plate and the little apple, and bring the other 2 daughters with you also." Okay. That's okay. So the peasant bowed to the ground and returned home with a bottle full of water. He poured it on the ground, and as soon as he had sprinkled the water, the little girl came to life, and she threw herself into his arms. All who were present were moved to tears. Then the peasant started again for the capital, and arriving there, went into the castle, to the Tsar's palace, and the Tsar came out, and he saw the peasant with his 3 daughters, 2 of them with their arms bounded up, and the third, as beautiful as the spring flowers, stood near, and tears like diamonds were falling down her cheeks. The Tsar was very angry with the 2 bad sisters, and then he asked the youngest one to bring her little plate and her apple. The girl took the box from her father's hand and said, "Sir, would you like to see your towns or your armies, the ships at sea or the beautiful stars in the sky?" Then she made the little apple roll on the plate, and there appeared on it many towns, one after the other, with bodies of soldiers near them, with their standards and artillery. Then the soldiers made ready for fight, and the officers stood in their places. The firing commenced, and the smoke rose and hid it all from view. The little apple began to roll on the plate, and there appeared the sea covered with ships, their flags streaming in the wind. The guns began to fire, the smoke rose, and again all disappeared from their sight. The apple again began to roll on the plate, and there appeared on it a beautiful sky with suns and stars. The Tsar was astonished. The girl fell down on her knees before him and cried, "Oh, sir, take my little plate and my little apple, and forgive my sisters." The Tsar was moved by her tears and entreaties, and forgave the wicked sisters. The delighted girl sprang up and began to embrace and kiss them, and the Tsar smiled, and he too took her by the hand and said, you all, this may not be suitable totally. I didn't know. We're at the end of it almost, y'all. We're almost at the end. I never knew nothing about this. Oh, my goodness. "I honor the goodness of your heart," he said, and I admire your beauty. Would you like to become my wife?" "Aw." "Sir," said the beautiful girl, "I obey your royal command, but allow me first to ask my parents for permission." The delighted peasant at once gave his consent, and they sent for the mother, and she too gladly bestowed her blessings. "One favor more," said the beautiful girl to the Tsar. "Permit my parents and sisters to remain with me." On hearing this, the sisters fell down on their knees before her, and they cried, "We are not worthy of so much favor." "Dearest sister," said the beautiful girl, "all is forgotten and forgiven. They who remember the past with malice deserve to lose their sight." She then tried to lift them up from the ground, but they, shedding bitter tears, would not rise. Then the Tsar, looking at them with a frown, bade them to please get up, and allowed them, however, to stay in the palace. A magnificent entertainment then began, and the palace was splendidly lit up and looked like the sun among the clouds. The Tsar and Tsarina rode out into the open chariot and showed themselves to the people, and who cried joyfully, "Long live the Tsar and Tsarina." I think that's what it's called. Tsarina. May they shine upon us like the glorious sun for years and years to come. So, you all, this was a Rainier Blue. Thank you, Rainier Blue. Your Aunt Gina didn't know about this. I thought I'm not going to read no more from Russia. I'm not. I didn't know it, you all. I thought if I avoided the one that said the huntsman and the unlucky, I think that's from Russia too. It's kind of a dark story, you all. It really is, and I don't like dark stories. I don't, you all. If you're just tuning in, I was a little caught off guard by this story. I thought, surely if it's in a children's book, it must be a good one. It must, but it's, you can see it. Maybe you can see it. The Story of the Simpleton. I thought it was suitable, you all. It's all right. It's all right. There's things that happen in the world. The Glass Mountain was better, that we read the other night. It was, you all. That's right. Oh my goodness. See, I don't know if I could read another story like this too. The other one called The Emperor Trojan's Goat's Ears. No, I don't know about that, you all. I'll have to look through them. I promise I'm going to look through the story the next time. I'm going to read it myself and see if it is absolutely suitable to read. I would not like that as a bedtime story. I wouldn't like it. But those who look back at the past with malice, I think it said something about that. It did. But that was the Simpleton, and the Little Simpleton, that was the name of it. And I am going to go. I ain't going to make it. Yeah, we don't want to have no nightmares over this. Don't let your children listen to this story. Do not do it, you all. I tried to keep out the worst parts. I did. It wasn't really graphic or nothing, but still. I know. That's right, Teresa Young, honey. It's no. I couldn't do it. I could not do it, you all. Yes, so, oh, did we get a super chat? Thank you for your super chat, Rob. Yeah. It's okay. I didn't know it. But we know, there's different stories in countries, and what we may consider, it's a little bit scary. Somewhere else, they may consider it not too scary. Really, think about it. And what some people think appropriate in one place, it may be inappropriate in another place. We have to look at it from a cultural point of view. We can do it, you all. We can. That's right. Oh, you're going to Hawaii in a few months. I lived there for around 4 years on Hickam Air Force Base. We got around the whole entire island in the car in 45 minutes. We did. Yeah, so I'm going to go, you all. I don't want to talk too much on here. So again, I'll look at the story. But it's from a different country, and it was a story that was written. It somehow made its way into a children's book. It did. It's all right. It's not all right, but it's all right. So with that being said, hello, wherever you are in any part of the world. Hello. From my heart to yours, love you. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. I hope to see you a tad bit later. I do.